All right, you guys, I think we're live. I see myself and I see IoT North with a little miniature Paul down there in the corner. Paul, you want to just quickly say hello to make sure? Hey, he's
Hey.
growing.
Yeah, I'm growing.
All
I'm
right, well, you're growing. We've got some audio. Well, welcome everyone. It is IoT Happy Hour. This is episode 28, so we are chugging along. I'm joined today to talk about the ViZi-AI platform and some really cool hardware and software by Paul Wealls. Paul, you want to say hello and give a quick intro?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Paul Wealls. I work for ADLINK with the ViZi product and also the community manager for Go250, which is a community website we have for Vision Edge AI. And then I also have IoT North, which is a little meetup that I started a couple of years ago that's grown exponentially this year. So, hey, David, thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being here. I'm excited. This is going to be super cool. We're going to cover a lot of ground today. And I see iShot JR is already on. Gary, welcome. Hello. So let's do this. I want to get started with what I always kick off with, which is what's on your desk. Now, I didn't fully prepare you for this one, Paul. I gave you a little hint, but let me ask this. Do you have any fun toys on your desk that you can show off?
My desk is full of headsets and microphones because I can never find one that I'm happy with. So I've got Jabra units. I've got orange amps. One of my whoa! Everything just disappeared there.
You're back. You're good.
Yeah, I'm back. Probably one of my favorite things at the moment is a set of orange headphones. Let me just grab those in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So I don't know if when we're doing everything virtual and online and stuff. Got these up. This camera's not going to work very well with that.
Uh-oh.
But orange headphones. The sound quality of these is fantastic. Bluetooth headset. You get a wire capability as well. I've been playing with these for a couple of years now since they were a prototype. I know the founder well, Cliff, and I've been making Alexa speakers and stuff with him for a while, which things are coming to market. I can't say too much to that because of their competition that they've got, but it's a lot of cool things. The other things I've got on my desk is obviously the same as everybody else, I think, in this community, the Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, yep, got those.
And then, of course, being ADLINK, we have our yay. So what you have there with your Nvidia stick in.
I know where you're going. I know where you're going with this.
I'm going to say this ViZi-AI. That's what you really need. Single board. It's got the Nvidia's chipset in it. There we go, brother.
Yeah.
It's an amazing, powerful piece of kit that to get off the ground. And start using vision as a sensor. There's very little in the market that competes with this, and currently $199 on arrowgut.com. Not to sound like a cheesy sales channel there, but no. Hey, I was chatting with a guy that contacted me through Twitter through the Go250 handle, and he'd ordered a ViZi, so he came across it on Google. He was analyzing all the other products out there. He was looking for a single board device. He's come across ViZi, and he is blown away by the power of it on a single board compute. Jetson Nano, phenomenal piece of hardware.
Yeah, we're familiar with those as well. Yep.
But for $199 with ViZi, you also get the ADLINK software on there as well, which is industrial grade software. It's used in manufacturing, logistics, and a number of other verticals. And what we've done at ADLINK with the software is made it easy. When you want to focus on building models and using that as a sensor, the software we've got with ViZi really just makes that so easy to get ready, up and deploy. My colleague, Rob Beauville, recorded a video today to demonstrate how quick and easy, 4.5 minutes to get set up and getting an inference out. And that's using the standard OpenVINO model. So it's got OpenVINO on there. It's got Node-RED on there, so you can start taking the outcome of the data, pushing it out. And there's a great Hackster thing, which we'll touch on a little bit later on. which we've got SMS notifications when somebody crosses a boundary. His garden. He's a grumpy old man. He'll hate me for saying that. But somebody crossing his garden, he now has a camera set up with a ViZi that he gets an SMS notification through Twilio to tell him that somebody's walking over his garden. And he hacked that up in a few hours.
That seems a little bit extreme, but you know what? Props to him. He's a grumpy old man, you say? All right, I could buy that.
The other product that I have there as well is the smart board that ViZi's based on, which is the iPi with rock chip. So I've only just recently got my hands on that one. So I'm going to have a play with that. So that's sort of a more industrial grade piece of kit. So, with Raspberry Pi, you want to start looking to move that into production or starting to really put it out there. You can get a little bit of a challenge with it. It's an education board, let's be honest. The iPi is more of an industrial grade for it. So then you can start creating your own encasing with it and put it out and start to use it in production.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's do this. Normally I have a second camera hooked up, my blurry camera, the audience knows quite well. I don't have my blurry cam hooked up today. I had to do a laptop swap due to a session yesterday. So no blurry cam today. So I'll hold up, let's pin this on me for a moment so we can get a better view. And we can just quickly take a look at the hardware itself and kind of talk through some of the basic features of it. So now it's backwards on me. So now I got to really figure out what's going on here. I'm a mirror image of myself. So obviously we can see gigabit Ethernet, 2 USB 3 ports, pair of USB 2 ports. This front side, HDMI out, power barrel, power and reset buttons. What else is on that one? A micro USB hookup. Yeah, the HDMI is on there. Top side, SD card slot, although the board does have eMMC on it, so you do not need, or is it on the SOM?
Actually? Yeah, the eMMC is no longer on that board.
Oh, it's not?
No. So it's got the SD slot, so it's fully running from the SD. Okay. So you can expand it out.
All right, I might have a prototype then, but mine contains eMMC on it because I run mine. As you can see, obviously it's unplugged at the moment, but I run it as is. I don't run it with an SD card slot. So I flashed straight to the eMMC on my special unit then. And then of course go ahead.
So, sorry, I was going to say you've got the Intel CPU, which is the X5 E3940, and then you've also got the Intel Movidius. I mean, this is the grunt for Vision. You've got the real power. You've got the Intel Movidius Myriad X VPU, and you've also got 4 gig RAM on there as well. And on the top there, you've also got the 40-pin GPIO. So utilizing Raspberry Pi connections and such like cameras and so on, you can plug them straight on there.
Yeah, so it's an amazing machine, as our regular audience viewers. We have a joke about that one. I'll find the clip. I'll find the video for it. But yeah, it's it's a good piece of hardware, right? And like you said, enterprise grade. So yes, the Raspberry Pi, by all means, we do love them, and they're good as educational tools.
Yeah,
they're not the most reliable once you go to deploy them in bulk out into harsh environments, right? They were not designed. They were not designed or manufactured for industrial temperature, industrial grade. You go and try to put them literally out into the desert, out into the jungle. It's kind of hit or miss whether they're going to survive. But something like this board, on the other hand, totally engineered and geared towards, especially like you said, those manufacturing, those industrial settings. Heavy vibration could be quite hot as well. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. So got the hardware pretty well covered there, but you want to give us a little overview of the software side of the equation as well?
Yeah, sure. So ADLINK, we have our Edge software platform, which has been around for a couple of years now. It's made some phenomenal leaps, especially with the enablement with vision, and using vision as a sensor. So one of the core things we have is Profile Builder. The team have really made it more configuration and less code. You can still code within the platform, but with Profile Builder, what you're doing is choosing the applications from the ADLINK marketplace, such as Stream Viewer, Frame Streamer, Intel OpenVINO, Model Manager, Training Streamer, Node-RED. These are all phenomenal tools that you configure rather than code to get those connections going and get the data to and from where it needs to. It's based on using our data river, which comes from our heritage with DDS, which has been used in air military for nearly 2 decades. And that enables the communication plane of the data and the output from the inferencing to get to the applications that it needs to, for example, Node-RED, to then create the output. So as I was saying, Rob created a hack project and got the inference out, so it recognized when a person was within its view, and then it would send that output of data to Node-RED, the setup node configuration within Node-RED, then sent an SMS through its connection with Twilio. And then you can change the parameters of how often it's sent a message and so on and so forth as well. There's a great video on embedded computing website that was put on this week, which really demonstrates how quick and easy it is to construct and deliver that. The guys have created some really effective tools like Stream View and Frame Streamer. I think one of the real value ones for the vision side of things is Model Manager, because if you think about when we're constantly updating models and getting the data from the camera to teach the model and then updating the model and bringing it back, it's trial and error, just making sure it's working on the device. What Model Manager does is enable you to stay on top of that and keep it updated. And if the update doesn't work effectively and you want to roll back, it's really easy drag and drop rollback. It's a really, really effective tool to use. And as I said, the drive of this, David, is to make it as easy as possible to really focus on the data science side of things and building models and the artificial intelligence of it all, and taking our experience with legacy IoT and edge computing and demonstrating the power of the edge computing, and making that as easy as possible for people to adopt. Because let's be honest, people talk about edge computing, but a lot of people don't really understand the value of it. And I think Vision really demonstrates that you don't need to be streaming the video, get that computing done on the device.
Yep, absolutely. You said earlier that you had an engineer get it up and running in 4.5 minutes. That's pretty incredible. I thought Balena was pretty quick to get a device up and running, but I don't know if I can do it in 4.5 minutes. I might have to. We'll have to time it. We'll have a race.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can.
I'm all up for a bake-off.
Yeah, I don't know. 4.5 minutes to get a model up and running. I might be able to do it. I'd have to use some. I'd have to use a Pi plus a Movidius, and then I'd also have to probably use a ready-made kind of like the Always AI framework or something.
Yeah.
I might. I don't know. I might be able to, but we'll take a look. With that said, so you talked. So there's the two sides of the equation here: the hardware and the software. I just dropped in a link in the YouTube chat to the adlinktech.com homepage, because there are actually lots of products. And I know that we are focusing here today just on the one, and I get that. Maybe two if we talk about the iPi. But the overall product portfolio does consist of some really neat machine learning and AI hardware. There are those cameras that are ready-made that include the Jetson parts. There are some edge servers. You can see, I pulled up the website. Let me, in fact, see if I can do a screen share. Let's see what happens.
So if you think about the product story with ADLINK, okay, right, and the hardware that we have, so our software can work on anybody's software, but we have well over 25 years this year, in fact, 25 years experience of making this hardware. And they acquired a company called Prism Tech about 4 or 5 years ago, which is the software division that I'm part of. And we've evolved to become the solution part. So we bring together the software and the hardware and create products. We've got, if you imagine what we recognized was a gap that we had from our experience of building solutions last year. We've got a solution called Smart Pallet. And what that is 4 cameras using the software over 4 pallets. It doesn't have to be 4 pallets, but this is the use case we've got. And what it does is, instead of a guy using a scan gun to scan a box, scan a pallet, look at the gun, wait for a response, and then know if it's the right pallet or not, the cameras do it all for you. They pull the data from the ERP system, distribute it across the 4 cameras. You hold the box underneath the 4 cameras, under one of the cameras, and it will flash red or green. It will flash red or green if it sees a box, it sees a label, and it can read the barcode. When it reads the barcode, it will know if it's on the right pallet or not. If it's on the wrong pallet, if it's on the right pallet, it flashes green, and it'll show up on an LCD screen next to it. If it's wrong, it'll flash red, and it'll show that it's on the wrong pallet, and then you move it to the correct pallet, and it flashes green. And then so you've got that real-time data of everything being set up on their pallets, so it minimizes mistakes. We've got a customer that saved hundreds of thousands of dollars using this solution in the US. What it also does is it makes the job much easier for the person doing the job by putting the boxes on the pallets. So if you imagine when you were building that out as a solution, you needed a device to, and probably lower cost, to be able to test the software, test the models, collect the data, and that's where ViZi came from. We needed that kind of hardware. Then what we've done is we've made it really easy with our software, with the ADLINK Edge software, specifically around the vision side, that you can then, once you've built the model and you've built out your proof of concept and you're ready to go to production, you literally copy the profile, the construct of the software that you've got, and then you copy it to the device that you want to move it to. It's as simple as that. And then you can multiply, and if you want, you can put it across multiple devices as well.
Yeah, super cool. While you were talking, I've been showing off some of the products and some of the hardware that you guys are building. And there's some really innovative stuff here. I want to circle back a little bit because I see some folks in chat are asking about Hackster. Have you already, I feel like I have seen you guys on Hackster. Have you engaged there at all?
We sure have, buddy. We sure have. So we've got so this was my little project that I worked with a friend of mine, Mark Strevens, with. I wanted to make a bit of a fun project. We sometimes get a bit mixed up on making things for business and looking for solutions that way. So I wanted to make a bit of a fun one for this. So this is our computer vision powered disco. So what we enabled very quickly with ViZi was to teach ViZi when it saw a human, it plays Saturday Night Fever music and flashes disco lights. When it sees a dog, it sees Who Lets the Dogs Out, and it flashes the disco lights as well. So just showing that from the image recognition, from the standard object detection, we could get like a good output like that. Really quick, as I said, it took a few days to do, and that was the teaching of the dogs and the humans, and it was down to lighting and stuff like that, the common stuff. This project does actually have it connected to a Raspberry Pi, and that was purely because Mark already had a Raspberry Pi set up for the music and the lights for another project he'd been playing with. So it was quite quick and easy for him to connect the output from his ViZi to the Raspberry Pi to turn the music on and the lights. You could actually do that project all on ViZi-AI. We've got another project here, which I touched on earlier, which is the integration to Twilio through Node-RED, which enabled SMS notification. And that was from recognizing when people were walking on across through his property, it would recognize it was a person and it would send Rob a text message. But if you take that into consideration of what you could do and evolve that, excuse me, shouldn't be drinking beer.
It's happy hour. Of course you should. Yeah, you absolutely. I think I shot JR already was having one as well.
So with this one, if you think about how you could branch this out, and with integration to Twilio for sending SMS notifications, you've got security alerts and so on and so forth. You could build with a ViZi, $199 on Arrow, and available on Mouser as well. You could actually make this as a security system for your home using a webcam plugged into a ViZi and or any other camera. And it could then send you an SMS notification if somebody comes across your property at a certain time of day. It's up to you to build the parameters of what you want it to do. We've got another one here. So our friends at OpenCV and Luxinus, they've got the Oak D camera. So our VP of Innovation, Toby McLean, he connected up the camera with ViZi and demonstrated the power of what you could do with that for social distancing. Quite relevant currently. And one of the ones that literally just came up in the past 48 hours was from a guy called Jaime in Seville in Spain. He's wanting, and this is a project request, he's wanting support. So anybody who's watching this, get onto Hackster and please do get in touch with Jaime. He's looking for support. He wants to build an AI vision based system to broadcast amateur basketball. So he's wanting it to enable the camera to track where the ball is. Now, taking into consideration that it's not always going to be able to see the ball, so it's going to be about the posture of people. So that's a great project documentation that he's put there on what he's wanting to achieve, but also how he saw the design. And Jaime got in touch with me after doing a lot of research about different hardware that was out there. And we had a good chat about what you could do with ViZi, with the hardware and the software. And I think he's got a great foundation to build that through as well.
Awesome. Very cool. So I dropped in the link into YouTube chat so folks can check those out. I dropped in the high level one to bring up the projects. This one here that you're showing, this amateur basketball one, I dropped in the long link to that. Like you said, just to repeat for the audience, that one's brand new and Jaime is looking for collaborators.
Yeah.
So
just wanted to do this open source project.
Yep. So, and in fact, so let me bring my screen share back up and we can actually take a quick look at it. Let's see what kind of documentation. So he's got the ViZi-AI in there. So it's using OpenVINO and OpenCV. You also mentioned the Oak camera. That's one that's relatively new, isn't it?
Yeah,
I'm not
yes.
familiar with that one.
This one doesn't include the Oak camera.
Okay.
It's maybe something he should consider. He does talk about a couple of other cameras that he's assessed. He's got a design here of how he sees what needs to be looked at and how it could be done. He's really well documented this whole thing, and also his analysis of different hardware and what he thinks could be used and should be used.
Yeah. Very cool. So he's got a lot of material here already documented and ready. All right. Well, you heard the call to action, folks. If you can lend a hand and assist, that'd be super cool. Wow, this just keeps going. So he's got halftime, out of bounds, transition. Holy moly. What we are missing. Okay, so here's what he's really in need of then. So there's the tasks. All right, and I see also, let me come back. I had the Twilio one that you just mentioned, the social distancing. I think one of our community members was also mentioning in chat that there were a couple of comments from the team on some of his projects as well. So, all right, very cool. So good stuff. We do have a question that came through from David from iShotJR. Where did the name Go 250 come from? And I suspect it's maybe 5.0, but and also, is your cam software written in BASIC?
So this was I haven't coded since I left university in 1999, to be brutally honest. And I remember in the early 80s with my Commodore 64. using BASIC. And my dad, I was fortunate to have a dad who always had computers in the house from the early 80s. He was a IT manager for construction and shipbuilding when we had that. Here in the northeast of England. I sort of reminisced about the Go 230, Go 240, and get my name running, scrolling across the screen and other things that I would get it to say. So when I was thinking about what I wanted to sort of build as a community with the team, was like sort of really bringing it back to basics and building from that in regards to Edge AI vision. It is something very, in my view, a construct that's evolving quite a lot, and I wanted to enable a community to be built. And this is something I have a passion for: is building communities. To bring it back to basics and build it up. So that's what we've done. If you have a look at the content on Go 250, the guides, the blogs, which we've got from Intel, AWS, and a whole lot of other partners, and very kind people like Surya, who's in India, who just graduated from the OpenVINO course on Udacity. He very kindly shared a whole load of blogs about OpenVINO, which are absolutely brilliant quality, I've got to say. And he's a really active member in the community as well. So, please do, everybody, register on Go 250, join the community, share your insight. We want to help everybody to evolve and leverage edge computing and vision as a sensor.
Can you repeat the name? Who was that community member you just mentioned a moment ago?
So if you go into blogs and search Surya.
Yeah, Go 250 advanced. Hang on one second.
I'm not going to offend him by trying to pronounce it.
Going over to community. My screen share is off. Let's bring that back in real quick. I've got to be logged in. I have an account on here because I recently wrote an article.
You shouldn't need to log in in the blog. So if you go into blogs and search Surya, Surya, you should be able to find them quite easily.
Yeah, I see them right here now. And let's bring this back in. Oops, try that one. There we go. So should be able to see that. And I've also got the link right here. So let's bring it in.
So, the content that Surya has made just really demonstrates that if when you attend like the Udacity course for OpenVINO, which is free for 30 days, as long as you can condense it into 30 days, it's all great. He was extraordinarily enthused by the content and the learning that he had. And I believe very quickly, based on his experience and the learnings that he's done, he's got himself a job as a systems engineer at Tata Consultancy. In India, we've got an OT manager who's taken a sabbatical in India on the community, and he's been getting an awful lot of help because he is ground zero. He's not a developer, he's not a data scientist, but he knows that there's value in this technology. So he's actually trying to teach himself how to use vision as a sensor for finding faults with vision. And so he can really sort of share the value of it. He's teaching himself. And so, he's reached out to Surya through the community to help him do that.
Super cool. So I want to come back over to here real quick. I noticed probably the best article on the blog, though, is right here. I mean, there's this was some serious writing right here. Look at this. I'm capturing pictures of ducks and bananas with this board. So,
who doesn't capture ducks and bananas?
Yeah, who's not? If you're not looking, normally I'm looking for bears or javelina, as my regular viewers know. But so this is a good point, though. I want to spend only 1 minute on this because I want to talk about that community that you're building up there. But real quickly, you covered the fact that you've got both hardware and software running. And you can see, actually, I've got a couple screenshots here of the ViZi-AI Edge Profile Builder application running. And let me scroll past some of that code snippet. But I actually took a lot of your building blocks and ported them over to Balena. And so the thing is okay, look, this is a single board computer in my hand, right? I certainly understand that it can run the ViZi-AI platform, the software side of the equation, but I was also able to just, it's in this case, x86 device. I flashed the Balena OS to it, brought up the OS, and then it's, ready and waiting for containers. So I just built some containers based upon what you guys had already produced, whipped up a quick Docker Compose file, and was able to run this hardware on Balena. Simple as that. There's my Balena push right there with Charlie the unicorn, and here come all my containers. And so folks could in fact make use of just the hardware if they do have their own complete application stack or framework that they're running as well. They don't absolutely positively have to run that ViZi-AI software stack.
That's exactly right. Exactly right, David. We've given the software. There are there's time limits with the software running to 6 hours, because this is industrial grade software that we're giving away with the device for people to experience and use. You simply need to request if you want extension to that. But and that's because we want people to adopt edge computing and using vision as a sensor. If people want to use this just for the hardware, definitely, we would love for you to do that. We'd love for you to share the content on Go250 as blogs and projects on Hackster and so on and so forth. We'd love to see what people can do with this.
Yep, very cool. Yeah, in this case right here, might be a little bit difficult to see, but these two screenshots are just the NCS app zoo. So this is just making use of the onboard Movidius. This is literally just running straight git clone the AppZoo OpenVINO framework, which is where I was able to detect that duck from their included images. So let me do a quick glance over at chat. I think we may have had a couple questions come through. While I'm doing that, if you want to give us a quick overview, I know you mentioned in the beginning that you do, one of your passions is community building.
Yeah.
Now, I know when you joined, let me take my screen share back off and get our focus back. Behind you, what is that giant logo that's now behind you? I'm gonna switch the view to you, and tell me about that. What's IoT North?
Sure. So IoT North started as IoT Newcastle about 2.5 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. And that came out of, that was when I had my own consultancy. And I was working with a company called Mechanics, which was a funded startup for connectivity, very similar to the Twilio IoT connectivity, with a lot more API connectivity into the network. And when I was out there validating with customers and trying to understand what the use cases and personas were for using this, I started to identify that actually, one, the Northeast here in the UK had a huge community that was very disparate. There wasn't a home for it in regards to IoT. So there was a lot of replication going on. So I started up a meetup. And it was your typical pizzas, beer, and somebody would stand in front and talk about their what they were trying to achieve and such like. We started to evolve at the back end of last year, where people were actually talking about problems that they were wanting to solve, and sort of starting to evolve to sort of having like mini hacks in some respects. And then we would have great demo stuff from a guy called Jose Marcelino, who's now at Rack Wireless.
We know Jose. He's been on this show. We know Jose.
Jose's great.
Episode 22, maybe, where we did a show dedicated to Laura running on Balena Cloud. We know him.
Yeah, absolutely great guy, and I mean he's made some great impressions in the companies he's been in. So and we would do sort of like demo sessions. He would talk people through, give them the kit, and talk them through how to get LoRa working and such like. So earlier this year, I was starting to think about potentially expanding IoT Newcastle and what could be done, and then all of a sudden, COVID's thrown at us. At the same time, coincidentally, I was obviously supporting the meetup with Go250, and then Newcastle University got in touch, the business school there, who've been doing a report with Pitching, which is a collective of Cambridge, Oxford, Sheffield, and Newcastle universities in the UK. And they've been trying to research on the adoption of IoT and why it hasn't hit that big number that was forecasted, and what the resistors are with businesses adopting IoT. And that's ongoing at the moment. So coincidentally, we got that going with Newcastle University, and we went virtual. At the same in March, and we used to have anything between 35 and 70 attendees in person in Newcastle alone. It's a small city, and after the first virtual event in March, the guys in Manchester for their Manchester meetup, which had 1,000 few hundred members. They asked if I'd be interested in taking that on board, which I did. I then started to think, well, actually, it's no longer IoT Newcastle, so rebranded as IoT North. Leeds meetup, got chat with them and have brought them into the fold as well. So we've now grown, and we're growing about 100 members a month at the moment. We're now well over 3,200 members across this region. It's really interesting with going virtual that I actually now have members across Europe and the US who are not only attending but asking to speak as well and have spoken.
Yours truly included.
Yeah, exactly. So we have the website built out there, where we're looking to sort of be, as the tagline is on the website, we're wanting to give business a north in IoT. How do you adopt it? What's the value of it? And what I've found as a product manager, which is my background, started in sales and progressed into product. And through the validation I've done is, one of the things I found is, as technology people, like yourself and myself, we confuse people. We talk about technology.
I'm good at that.
We can't help it because we're excited about it. We're passionate about it. So working with Newcastle University, we're looking to fix that problem. Where early next year, we're going to be launching what's currently badged as a use case marketplace, which will basically break it down into very simple paragraphs in what the problem is, what's the solution, and what's the return of investment. And then using keywords, it enables businesses to find what they're looking for as a problem, so then they can see the solution and then contact that business that has that solution, and trying to really limit it down and make it simple. We have partnerships with businesses like Lumo now. Here in the UK, there's research and development tax credits that a lot of businesses don't realize that you can claim an awful lot within that, to the point that you can create this nice reoccurring capability of getting money back from the HMRC, the tax and revenue, get that back into your business so you can continue to grow and learn. Even if a project or some research fails, you can keep getting the money back that you've invested in that. And so we're trying to get the data and the information in a nice, clear format with the right partnerships to help businesses get started in adopting the technology. We've got a great foundation of members of over 3,000 who are the technology guys. They know what they're talking about. They understand how the technology works. They've got some problems they know how to fix, and some problems they think exist that possibly haven't been validated correctly. What we're doing now is flipping it and adding to that and getting the businesses to start to communicate to say, that's not a problem, but this is. How do we fix it? Working with Northumberland Council here in the UK and some other very large businesses that I can't mention the name of at the moment.
Yeah, no worries.
We're looking to run some hacks over the course of the back end of this year. And ourselves at ADLINK as well are looking to run some hacks as well with some big partners to really start looking at how we can enable businesses that are really smart in the problems and creating the machine learning and the artificial intelligence with vision and the model building. We're looking to, from the hack, enable them to the potential of going to market with them and partnering with them, take them under our wing and help them get to market, which is quite often the challenge.
Yeah, definitely. So you've got a pretty large community up there then, if you're up over 3,000 members already. And you're taking something that's actually really interesting to me as well, which is a virtual approach. So we at Balena have historically been pretty involved in the IoT London community, and that's a large one. That one's about 14 or 15,000 members, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And they, for many years, were, of course, on site, on premise, physical meetups. And they have now recently transitioned to going virtual as well. Is what it is. I don't think this pandemic is going anywhere soon. So it's one of the things that there's not many positives that have come out of this pandemic. But for me, in my seat here in Phoenix, Arizona, it just didn't make a lot of sense for me to get on an airplane and go attend meetups around the world, right? Like, I'm not going to get on an airplane and fly to London to give a 15-minute presentation or talk to engage with that community or any other corner of the globe. But with meetups now going online, I've been able to attend many of them. I've hit the Raspberry Pi meetup in San Francisco. I've hit up Toronto, London, as mentioned. I'm hoping to sneak my way into IoT North at some point.
You're on the list, buddy.
Amsterdam, Madrid, Barcelona. One of my counterparts did Madrid. But anyway, it's... I hate to say it, but it's actually one of the positive outcomes of this situation.
Oh yeah.
I hate. I don't want to. There's many more negatives, but at the least, I've been able to hit up so many new communities that I would never have been able to engage with.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat.
No, I totally agree. As you said, it's one of the few negatives that's really the few positives that's come out of the negative. Is that interestingly, I found a lot of meetups actually just stopped. And it was such a shame because it wasn't that hard to transition to something like using StreamYard or Zoom or whatever you want to use. I was fortunate to have the support from the university to have good high quality connectivity for hours. And on the IoT North website, it enabled me to actually document and share that when people couldn't attend the meetup, they can go on. So if you go on to past events, we have a member of the university writes a write-up about the meetup, and then the videos are on there as well. So just like yourself, with your YouTube channel, we have a YouTube channel with the videos on there, but they're also embedded onto the website as well. And I've made it easy with some of the tags and stuff at the top to find. There's our good friend Jose right there.
There he is.
So it's actually enabled me to document, and I'm really, I had some phenomenal talks last year from some really innovative startups, as well as, your bigger blue chips. A phenomenal 5G talk from Vodafone, I've got to say.
Really?
And I used to work for EE, so I was very, very EE person. But when I saw the talk from Vodafone, I was really impressed by it. That I've lost that. I didn't record it. And it's one of my biggest regrets is I didn't think about recording it and hosting it somewhere. Whereas I think with the experience that we've had and the way that we've grown with IoT North, I've got that now. I haven't lost that content anymore. It's there. It's available. It's great social content. I get on average about 300-400 views of the videos. The new one from this week, which was on Tuesday evening, which was with Rover Robotics and Wireless Logic, that'll be going online over the weekend.
Okay.
I can guarantee within next week I'll get about 400 views of that, if not more, because people are actually sat waiting and they're registered and they get notified that it's coming as well. So I think it's one of the positive things, and I think I've been a big believer of community driven side of things. Twilio, let's be honest, their tech community is just phenomenal. And that's where I really got enthused about and started to learn about DevRel, the developer advocacy. And I think that's one of the positives.
We
I've got one of those.
so we have a lot of, it's funny how much crossover you and I actually have. And Mark just joined from, I see Mark over in the YouTube comments. He can poke his head in here as well. He's got a lot of experience in the cellular, the LoRaWAN space, and some of the others. But yeah, we've been exploring some of these hats, and these take a this is a Quectel modem in here, and it's got a Raspberry Pi 40-pin header, so it really would not be a stretch of the imagination to drop this right onto the ViZi-AI board either.
Get that dropped on and tell me how it works out before I order one.
Well, I call up Jose, see if he can get you. Well, I have to see what he can get you, but yeah, so it's interesting though. I mean, you make a good point, right? So out of 400 views or so that you're going to get, could you have fit, or would you have attracted 400 people to a live meetup? I'd venture to guess no.
No, I don't. The biggest meetup I had was actually the Vodafone talk, which I found quite intriguing because, let's be honest, in IoT, there is, and I'm going to put my neck on the line here, there is so much confusion that comes out of the wireless businesses and make it all about them, about IoT. Then and I'm going to be brutal here, they're the communication plane. There is so much more stuff that needs to be done before it even gets to that transit point. However, they've got the marketing dollars, and because they're very profitable businesses.
Sure.
So, I've probably had 3 talks this year. In fact, Stuart Mitchell there's one of them, talking about wireless connectivity and their differentiation to say somebody like Twilio and such like. In essence, the background, they're pretty much all the same. It's roaming connectivity predominantly. But the Vodafone talk, I had 80, 90 people attend in person.
Okay.
I totally under-ordered on the pizzas, so I was crucified for that one.
About the beer, though. Wait a minute. The pizza, we could make, as long as the beer was adequate, you'd be all right.
Yeah, well, everybody has to drive home, and we don't drink and drive here in the UK. So it's all right. It's usually 1 beer per person, so that's not a hard sum. But yeah, the Vodafone talk, had one of the biggest attendances that we've got. Jose quite often attracts some great attendance, and it's very much more the maker side of things. Like, my community started off very much the maker side of things, the first 30, 40 members. And as it's grown, it started to bring in more business people, more telecom people. And then the blue chips started to get interested. We had BT, Vodafone, and IBM, and so on and so forth. And then at the beginning of this year, there was this nice change, which is why my mindset started to change on how I organized and the talks I had, that I had more businesses. I had a couple of guys coming from manufacturing, small businesses. I say small, 4 million a year type business.
It's not tiny, but...
They'd come because they wanted to understand, because they knew they needed to evolve their business. And that's when I started to validate that actually they needed to... things need to be dumbed down a bit. So one of the guidance I always give with the talks, and if you want to talk, anybody that's there watching, go on to iotnorth.uk. It's in the top paragraph of the website where you can register and fill out the form, and I'll allocate a space to you. But the guidance I always give to everybody is start off simple. Dumb everything down in your first part of your talk, so that the people who don't understand the tech side of things can start to understand, so that when you start to dig a bit deeper, they can go along the journey with you. And it's all about stories and journeys, isn't it?
Yep, absolutely. We can see that should link straight to the Twitter handle right there. And of course, the contact us, the get in touch is going to be a form to fill out. Yep. So let's get that real quick. Drop it into chat for folks. There we go. All right. Well, that is super cool. You're doing some rather innovative community management up there. It's interesting. I suspect you've probably already learned quite a few lessons along the way, but might even be worth getting in touch with some of the other IoT meetup and community leaders. I know that we have some contacts with some of them, so by all means, I can get you connected through.
Yeah, that would be brilliant. This is the thing, David. It's like how you and I have crossed paths. It's all about a share of knowledge, getting to know each other, and seeing how you can help each other. Like the introductions I made for you this week and stuff. That I want to see you succeed, and obviously I know that you want to see us succeed as well. And we've discussed the software that we have with ADLINK. There's an overlap with what you guys do at Balena, but there's also gaps that we have that you fill as well. And it's about creating stuff that makes stuff happen, and learning from each other as well.
Yeah, one of our other developer advocates, Mark, who is usually on the stream, but was doing a fantastic job emceeing and moderating a hackathon that we were running. I see that he joined the comments. If he gets a chance, he can certainly poke his head in here as well. But he is the community organizer for IoT Barcelona, and that is a large group of individuals. And then he has also participated heavily in, I want to say, Amsterdam and Munich as well. If not actually still continue to moderate those, at least be at least a co-organizer of them. So yeah, we definitely have contacts throughout the various meetups around the world. So yeah, we can certainly help there. I want to circle back just a moment, because you mentioned the ViZi-AI platform. We had a couple of questions come through that I want to bring back up on screen. So I know we're sort of going in reverse here, but
Hey,
hey, there he is. He poked his head right in. Look at that. Ask and he appears. Hold on,
I didn't want to join.
No.
You were doing a very good job.
No. The more the merrier. It's a party. So let me see here. So we had a couple of questions. Let me come back over to comments. And let me see here. The first one was, is the board available for purchase? I know the answer to that, but go ahead, Paul, if you want to answer and speak to that one.
It sure is. It's available on, if you go on to go50.ai, click the ViZi-AI button. It gives you the links there to drive you to purchase. It's recently become available on Mouser, but it's also available on arrow.com, which is free global delivery, I believe, as well. The device is $199 currently. That is, I'm going to be open and honest here, man. We're actually selling this at a loss for hardware at the current rate of $199. So grab them while you can. There's a couple hundred left at that rate. Get them ordered. Yeah, it's available. It's in stock. Get them while you can.
I dropped the I dropped the direct link to the Arrow product in there.
One of the other things I would say, David, as well, is there's two versions. There's the European version and the American version. So there's a European plug and there's an American plug version. And they're both available on arrow.com.
Gotcha. I did not realize that. Okay. So available from Arrow. You can click that link and it will pass you through, although the direct link is in there as well. European version. Oh yeah, EMEA or US. I see them there now. So $199. And in stock and shipping today. All right, great. The next one was, what Linux distros are compatible with this board, by the way? Now, I'll let Paul go, but then I'll be able to provide some context there as well. Go ahead, Paul. Take it away.
Yeah. So with the version using the ADLINK software, it's Debian 9.9.
Gotcha. So that is using so that's if you're referring to the provided, like you say, the provided ADLINK build. But I will also add, keep in mind, this one in particular, we're talking about the x86 version. There is a Rockchip SOM that can fit into this carrier as well that we sort of touched on. But in this one, this is an Intel Atom 3940, right?
That's
or
right.
3940, yeah. With a standard UEFI boot process, you could in fact bring up other OSs. I brought up Balena OS using our Intel NUC image, but I have to wonder, there might be some driver issues to sort out, so I'm not entirely sure about that. But you should be able to boot up pretty much any standard OS. I have to wonder if you could just simply boot Ubuntu, even Windows perhaps, assuming, again, driver challenges aside, at least from a bring up perspective, any Linux distro should theoretically.
I haven't tested that, but theoretically.
Yeah. I'm saying theoretically. So whichever community member wants to give it the first try, let us know how it goes. But sure, I'm just talking.
Let us know. Let's get it on Go250. Show us what you can do. As I said, you're not restrained to anything with this. We want to see you. We want to see the outcomes people can do.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. I'm just mentally thinking through the exercise of, if you have boot from USB or boot from SD card, and the OS image is already on there, flashed with Etcher, of course. It should come up, but whoever takes a crack at it, let us know.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that was all of them. The price, and we said $199. So yep. So there we go. I shot JR. Send me one and I'll get it running. I told you in the pre-show.
We talked about this before we went live. That would be the question.
I said
I'll get your details off David, and I'll get in touch with me through Go250.
Yeah.
I'll get one to you.
The Hackster community, I'm sure, will be able to make it work. So anyways, I'm looking at the clock. We've got 2 minutes left. We can certainly run a few minutes over, but I don't want to hold anyone hostage here either. Are there any last questions from the audience? Let's give the audience a couple of moments to see if any other questions pop up. I'll get that out of there. No, just some cheers. I see one from Arajit, actually, and I'll address this one because I can speak to this from a fleet management perspective. So let me talk to this one. This ADLINK board costs $200. A Pi 4 4 gig plus an NCS2 costs $125. How is this cheaper? I'll address that one, Arajit. The reason is this. This board is not a direct comparison to a Raspberry Pi 4 plus a Movidia stick. And I can tell you that because I have both of them right here in my hands, okay? A Raspberry Pi 4 plus a Movidia stick is absolutely a phenomenal piece of hardware for testing and prototyping when it is on your desk. If I have physical hands-on access to it, great. But a Raspberry Pi is not known for its reliability out in the wild. Remember that this board here is targeting industrial and enterprise use cases, okay? When you go to deploy 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 devices out into factories, out into literally physically mounted onto the side of machinery that vibrates, or we have customers that place boards onto, and I mean literally physically on oil wells. Oil wells are extremely hot. The Raspberry Pis will melt. The Raspberry Pis, the SD card will shake out of it. The Raspberry Pis will not survive in a jungle tracking wildlife. So I totally understand that for hacking on and prototyping, yes, $125. I get it. But when you are a business, an enterprise customer, and you're going out to production in bulk as a fleet, You need something that is a little bit more industrial and enterprise ready. And that's where this board comes in. So, you also don't want, again, I mentioned that vibration and that kind of,
can I
physical. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
One of the other big things that's the difference there as well is that the ViZi, with it being all on one board, rather than through your USB, was that what I was just to say? You get much better power and speed out of the ViZi than what you will out of the USB connection with the NVIDIA chipset pulled in.
Yeah, you don't want this thing accidentally detaching while it's on the side of an oil well. So that's the difference. Certainly $75 difference in price point. Get it, but different use case. So hopefully we got that one answered for you.
Awesome.
Go ahead. What were you gonna say, Paul?
No, I was just about to say, I just saw Arit's comment there about his hack that he's got on Hackster. I'm just looking for it now.
Agri-AI, yeah.
I'm sure I commented on this the other week. Yeah, I did. I commented on your hack. I asked you to get in touch.
There you go. Told you, the Hackster community. I told you, Paul, these Hackster guys.
Yeah, you didn't have to tell me, man. I knew the word. You
knew it. You knew it. We have another one rolled in from Carlo. Carlo is from ARM. He's in Cambridge. So he's a little south of you, but not too far away. And do you know Hamish Cunningham? I certainly do not know that name. Does anybody else know that name?
Hamish Cunningham. Name doesn't ring a bell.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Carlo, if I should, please do get an introduction.
Yeah. Carlo, I know that you're on Twitter, so let me grab. What is John Travolta? What? What is this? What is he doing?
Where did that come from?
We have a whole bunch of graphics in the background that I haven't been effectively multitasking because I've been too engaged in the conversation. But once Mark showed up, we had somebody running videos.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. No, we have all kinds of fun materials back here. Let me come back over real quick. There is Paul's Twitter. So, Carlo, I know that you're active on Twitter as well. If you just ping him or even get in touch via the contact form straight on that not Go 250, on the IoT North account as well. Any of those will work. But we don't know. If you want to drop in, let me come back over to comments. That was Hamish Cunningham. I don't think that was him, but so we'll get you connected.
Awesome.
All right. Anything else? Otherwise, we'll close it down.
I think that's all good. Hey, thanks for listening to me waffle on and evangelize and whatever else with term that you want to put it under. But hey, David, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. And guys, thanks for watching.
Hey, awesome. All right. Carlos snuck in one last thing. I was just about to hit the end button, but he's a professor from Sheffield who works a lot with IoT. So I'll get in touch, Paul, on Twitter. All right. So there you go.
Awesome. Thanks, Carlo.
Yep. Coming at you. All right, you guys, I'm going to hit the red button. We'll close it out. Paul, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time and joining us today.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
Learned a ton.
All right. See you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye, guys.